to the Casual Corner. My name is Keyshawn Wilson, and I'm here with Angela Bruce Heath. And today we're going to be answering frequently asked questions around retirement planning. So, Angela, how urgent of a matter is retirement planning?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Keyshawn. That's a very important question. Retirement planning is very urgent. It's extremely urgent because people are living longer. They get to retirement, they're close to retirement, and then they realize they don't have enough money to put away. So we try to educate them early so they can start putting money aside and investing it the correct way based on their risk tolerance and time until retirement.
No, absolutely. And you mentioned one thing there that I think is very important, which is the education. How much of a lack of education do you think is a factor in people doing these prioritizations and making these things top of mind?
Sure, the lack of education is a major factor. This is something investing and preparing for retirement is something that should be taught in schools, but unfortunately is not. So people don't know. They get to their employers, they fill out an enrollment form for their pension, they just tick the boxes, don't know what they're really ticking, especially when it comes to their investing. And so you have some young people who start off with their employment, they go into a very conservative fund where they probably should be in something more. So we get out there, Facebook, we get out there and we educate people on choosing the correct investment.
Nice. That's amazing. Yeah, I've always believed, if people knew better, they would do better.
Absolutely.
So education is a big part. So they say what you don't know doesn't hurt you. I think sometimes when it comes to finances, not knowing what to do with them actually can cause, not harm, but you can do better than what you're currently doing if you had more knowledge and applied it.
Exactly. And I hear that all the time, even with older people, they say, if I knew then what I say that myself,
Yeah.
if I knew then what I know
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
we'd be multimillionaires, right?
Multimillionaires.
Yeah.
This is it. This is it. So I think when you have a lot of people, I think even in society, your clients and even your friends and your family and your loved ones, saying that, if I knew then what I know now, I think we do have a generation of people that's trying to teach or pass on certain things or talk to people about certain things. And maybe sometimes that's not enough. So like, how would you encourage people to just bridge that gap between, hey, I kind of know what I have to do. I've been told by somebody smarter than me that I should do it, but how do I grasp the concept and like really, put it into practice? Like, who should I be speaking to?
Sure. So people can reach out to me at Friesenbrook, or it's good, they may want to, they can even do some of their own research. I encourage that too. Investopedia is a great, it's an online opportunity for them to get information. They can do some research on their own YouTube, but they can come in and talk to one of us, talk to their advisor.
Absolutely.
And get some additional information.
Absolutely. I agree with that. I think you have to recognize who subject matter experts are, and if there's something you don't know, you got to find someone who knows these things and have the right conversations to equip yourself to make better decisions.
Correct, exactly.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
good
So
stuff.
I encourage anybody. I encourage people, especially young people.
Yeah.
They don't know, and then time gets away from them. People who are in their 30s or in their 40s think they're going to be there forever, right?
Yeah.
Then they turn around
Yeah.
and they're 58, 59, and they're screaming, saying, "Oh my God, I'm near retirement and I don't have enough money put away."
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it happens. They say once you turn 30, 30 is the new 20. And
right, exactly.
When you go 40, 40 is the new 30, and it just
yeah.
You got to start.
But it's not reality.
Yeah,
it kind of is,
now.
But yeah.
That makes sense. So we've covered, the urgency on retirement planning now. I think we've covered the education piece, which I think is paramount in people making better decisions. For someone listening to this, what would be your best words of advice as far as, their next step and what to do to get the most of their retirement?
Sure. So it's the next step would be to just pause for a second and evaluate what they have. Make sure they know what's in their pension plan. Make sure they know what their pension statement looks like. A lot of people don't look at their pension statement. I do a lot of sessions. People have never ever looked at their pension statements, right? So it's a good idea to look at their pension statements, see how they're invested, see what their balance is, and then go from there. And then if they don't like what if they don't like what their pension looks like, they can always reach out to their advisor. If they're with Friesenbrook, they can reach out to me directly, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, that's excellent.
But just start, you got to do
that's
something.
Excellent. Yeah, I think sometimes there's a little bit of, hesitancy or fear. When something's not understood, we tend to run away from it. And if we dive into it, you'd be surprised what's on the other end of that. So yeah, that's very encouraging. Because I personally don't know everything I would like to know about retirement planning myself. So like asking these questions, I'm learning a few things and stuff like that.
Exactly.
I've always felt like there's a need to simplify some of the verbiage and topics and things that can be seemingly complicated but simple. Like, so in your simplest form, how would you even describe what an investment actually is?
Sure. So an investment is basically, let's talk about investment and savings account, because everybody knows what a savings account is, right?
Yeah.
So when you think of a savings account, it's something you just put your money in and you just basically leave it. As you know, it doesn't get much interest, right? And with some people, they're probably even losing money because of the fees. So a savings account is you put your money there and you leave it. An investment is a vehicle where you put money into it, but you expect it to grow, right, and keep up with inflation. So when you put your money in an investment, then you decide how you want your money invested. Do you want it in stocks, which means you own a part of the company, or bonds, which means you're basically lending money to the company? So in the pension plan, they have what we call mutual funds, right? So that's another term people don't know. So just think of mutual funds as a basket that has some stocks and some bonds in it, maybe some cash. So you pick your mutual fund depending on how much risk you want. The more stock in your mutual fund, the more what we call aggressive it will be, which means the more it will grow. It will have some dips, but historically it's always caught itself and increased.
And I'm glad you mentioned the dips, because I think the dips is what most people are afraid of.
Sure.
And I think in my experience of the bits of investing that I've done, I love when things, dip or go down or lose that value temporarily so that I can buy more. And how would you encourage people to pay attention to the reality of what that means versus being scared and seeing, hey, look, my money's in red, but that's an opportunity that you're missing out on if you're not paying attention. How would you explain that to people?
Sure. So those dips are actually opportunities. So rich people love when it's a dip because they put more money. Think of it as when Phoenix has a sale, right? The 13th, when it's a Friday the 13th, you see the lines around the block, right?
Yeah.
Then you get in there too late, there's nothing on the shelves, everybody's bought everything because it's on sale. People love a sale. But when it comes to investing, people don't look at it as if it's a sale. They look at it, oh my gosh, I've lost money. But it's actually a sale. That's a great opportunity to continue to keep putting money in despite the dips, because it will return and your returns will be higher. So don't be afraid of the dips. People get excited. Some people get absolutely excited when it dips because they know they're getting more. Their money's getting more of their investments or mutual funds.
Absolutely. And I have learned to become that person for sure.
Great.
So that wraps up today's episode on retirement planning. Again, I'm Keyshawn Wilson. This is Angela Bruce Heath. And we look forward to seeing you guys on the next episode.